or simply a symbolic one? What does this say about the state of the Congress? Is the Congress going back to the past, looking at the future through a rear-view mirror? That's the question we'll raise. Lots of newsmakers, including Dr. Tharoor, will join us. But first, the 9 headlines at 9. Mallikarjun Kharge becomes the Congress's official, unofficial candidate, supported by the Gandhi loyalists. Will take on Shashi Tharoor for the Congress presidency after Digvijay Singh drops out from the race. Prime Minister Modi's development push in pole-bound Gujarat now flags off a third Vande Bharat Express, launches the Ahmedabad Metro. Crackdown on Jaish terror. 2 terrorists who attacked Agniveer Army rally are killed in a Baramulla encounter. Bulldozers return to a Noida apartment complex where suspended BJP Neta Shrikant Tyagi assaulted a woman. Illegal construction at over 90 houses razed. Residents protest. RBI hikes the repo rate by 50 basis points to 5.90% as battle against inflation continues. Home and auto loans to get more expensive. Sensex surges more than 1,000 points after trading negative for 7 straight days. The big Indian 5G launch tomorrow. More than 100 million Indian users with 5G phones await the rollout. Russia annexes 15% of Ukraine after Putin signs executive orders. Zelensky says his country is submitting an accelerated application to join NATO. And actors Suriya and Ajay Devgan presented with the most prestigious film awards at the 68th National Awards. Asha Parekh gets the Dada Saheb Phalke Award. But tonight's top story. The stage is set for elections in the Congress. Finally, the race for the post of Congress president has boiled down to leader of the opposition in the Rajya Sabha, Mallikarjun Kharge, versus Kerala MP Shashi Tharoor. The two filed their nominations today. There is a third from Jharkhand, but he is seen to be a non-starter. All of this happened after another day of high drama when suddenly former Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Digvijay Singh pulled out of the race and said he was now going to work for Mr. Kharge. This, remember, just a day after saying that he would file his nomination. So what really happened in the grand old party? Are we really heading for an election for the Congress president and a non-Gandhi at that? Or is this a bit of a fixed match? It's our top story tonight.
The Congress president election was to be a potboiler scripted to perfection. But by the time the actual shoot began, the characters got their own life and strayed off the script big time. Mallikarjun Kharge, the Gandhi family's emissary sent as observer to enforce the change of guard in Rajasthan, became the official unofficial candidate on Friday morning. The 80-year-old 9-time MLA, 3-time MP, former minister and Dalit leader from election-bound Karnataka filed his nomination in the afternoon.
कांग्रेस पार्टी के जो उसूल हैं, जो आइडियोलॉजी है, उस आइडियोलॉजी के साथ मैं बचपन से जुड़ा हूं। जब मैं 8th 9th में पढ़ता था,
Congress MP Digvijay Singh, who threw his hat in the ring on Thursday, by Friday early morning joined the supporting cast. He endorsed Kharge and was one of the proposers to sign Kharge's nomination papers. Even the big names among the group of 23 who had questioned the style of functioning of Congress top brass threw their weight behind the Karnataka leader signing his nomination papers. One player in the blockbuster stayed true to his role. The 3-time MP from Kerala, Shashi Tharoor. He was the first to file nomination, accompanied by band and baja.
He was elected MLA 9 times. He was in the Lok Sabha once. He's been a terrific, twice I think, but anyway, he's been a terrific leader for many, many years. I think he's one of the great giants, the Bhishma Pitama of our party in some ways. He's the leader of the opposition in the Rajya Sabha. Let's respect Mr. Kharge.
In all this melee, a leader from Jharkhand went unnoticed. Former State Minister K.N. Tripathi too had filed nomination papers, making the fight triangular.
The Congress presidential election saw many twists and turns. Finally, it was the trusted lieutenant of the Gandhi family, Mallikarjun Kharge, who filed his nomination. And with this, the stage is set for a seemingly bipolar contest. Now, will this match go till the very end? Will we see the last over, or will we see another backing out? With video journalist Pawan, Mosmi Singh and Ishwarya Paliwal reporting for India Today.
So let's raise the big questions. Is this a real fight or tokenism? Is the Congress going back to the past by choosing Mr. Kharge as as I call him, the unofficial candidate? Are the Gandhis simply playing safe in this election? Before we come to our special guest, let's turn to my newsmaker. Shashi Tharoor is the surprise, well, some would say, outsider in this race. Why is Shashi Tharoor contesting if he has very little chance? Those are some of the questions I posed to him. Listen in to Dr. Tharoor. Dr. Shashi Tharoor, welcome to this special.
Thank you, Rajdeep.
Let's start with Shashi Tharoor as Congress president. At a time when no one really seemed to want to contest the poll, you from almost day one said, I want to contest this election for Congress president. Most believe it's a crown of thorns, whoever becomes president. What made you contest?
Because I really believe that the Congress party is needed by the country. And frankly, business as usual in the party is not going to take us anywhere. We've had 2 general elections at 19%. We need to break free. We need to appeal to a larger constituency than we've been able to appeal in the last couple of elections. And at the same time, we've got to stop this hemorrhage of good people leaving the party for good or bad reasons. We need to be able to therefore both revive and rebuild the party inside and at the same time appeal to more voters outside. We have to challenge the seeming hegemony of the BJP and Mr. Modi.
But many are saying that is Shashi Tharoor really the right person for Congress president? He has no organizational experience. He is not a Hindi heartland politician, the area where the Congress has suffered the most in recent times. Is Shashi Tharoor really the right person to be Congress president, a party that needs organizational revival?
Well, first of all, the 9,100 voters of the Congress party, the PCC delegates, will decide that, whether I'm the right person or not. And if they find somebody else is the right person, more power to him or her. What I will say, however, is that given the fact that so many of our recent problems have stemmed from the way in which the organization is being run, I don't think that the disadvantage, so-called, of not being entrenched in the organization is such a disadvantage. In some ways, I come without the baggage of having any vested interests in the way in which we've been running the organization. And part of my message to my voters is going to be, let's change the way the organization is run. Let's decentralize authority in the party. And that's part of what I'm contesting for.
You know, when you say decentralize the authority, it almost seems that Shashi Tharoor is fatiguing of this high command culture of the Congress. Because one of the other disadvantages apparently is you're a so-called member of the so-called G23.
So-called is right.
This rebel group against the Gandhi family or against the party high command culture. In a way, are you representing that rebellious group within the Congress?
First of all, the group is in your imagination of the media, frankly, Rajdeep, because the truth is that a number of senior colleagues wanted to write a letter and they reached out to people who happened to be available in Delhi during the COVID lockdown. And so 23 people were around. They said at the time they'd spoken to over 100 around the country, but because of the lockdown, people couldn't come here and sign it. So the sympathizers for these thoughts were much more widespread. So I don't think G23 as some sort of organizational entity makes any sense. It didn't exist. And some of its members have now left the party. Others have moved on. Some of you know, one has even gone to the BJP. So it's no longer a coherent entity. And I'm not running as a representative of the G23 or anybody else. I am only running because a sufficiently broad number of party colleagues, and I mean ordinary colleagues, not the grandees in the party, urged me to do so. And they wanted me to do so not so much because of any specific experience that I would bring into the organization. As I say, my own instinct is actually to decentralize authority completely, empower the states, the state leaderships, and at the same time create more consultative mechanisms at headquarters. But apart from that, they wanted somebody who could appeal beyond the traditional constituencies of the Congress, and they felt I could do so. And I was taken in by that argument. I said, let me give this a...
The fact is, though, that your own Kerala Congress doesn't seem to be very enthusiastic about Shashi Tharoor contesting for Congress president. They haven't endorsed you. Let's be clear, your Kerala leadership hasn't. You are seen, whether this is an appropriate word to use or not, part of the Lutyens club in the Congress. The English-speaking, the last of the English-speaking elite within the Congress. It's one thing to write books, to have been with your international experience. It's another thing to run a party like the Congress, particularly at the time in which the Congress finds itself.
Now, ideally, we want the Congress to run itself. That is, we want people at all levels of the party to have a stake, to have authority, to have ownership of the party. It shouldn't be one person sitting in Delhi running. It shouldn't be a party that gets habituated to passing one-line resolutions, passing all decisions up the chain to the president. Let's try and empower people at all levels. What is the complaint that one keeps hearing at all levels of the party is people feeling disempowered. Let's change that. So as far as I'm concerned, that's the first concern. Secondly, frankly, if indeed many people don't wish to support me, that is their privilege. As long as we all share the same broad ideological commitment and vision, you're free to have individual likes and dislikes within that. At the end of the day, the electoral process will show the result.
कठिन प्रश्न ये है कि हाई कमांड जो है कांग्रेस में,
हाई कमांड तो अच्छी हिंदी नहीं है।
नहीं, वो गांधी फैमिली से जुड़ा हुआ है। क्या ये चुनाव आप एक तरह से हाई कमांड के खिलाफ लड़ रहे हैं? You said that you want...
किसी के खिलाफ नहीं।
You said you want decentralization in the party. Many are suggesting people like you are, in a way, questioning the way the Gandhis have run the party. Somewhere, are you accepting that or not? That you're questioning the way the Gandhis are running the party?
We're not against anybody. हम किसी के खिलाफ नहीं है, to go back to Hindi since that's what you wanted. लेकिन हम चाहते हैं कि जो हमारी सिचुएशन अभी जो है, इसको अगर आप बदलाव ले आने चाहते हैं तो आपको किसी नई तरीका आपको पता करना चाहिए. We have to find new ways of addressing old problems. And the truth is, frankly, business as usual is no longer possible. The truth is that is ultimately what many people claim has led us to our present plight. And therefore,
when you say business as usual, let me start. Are you saying the old way of dynastical politics? The Congress is identified today with the Gandhi family, with a certain dynastical style of running the party. Even Rahul Gandhi is questioned largely because he's seen to be an entitled dynast. Do you believe the time has come to break away from that? Is this a candidature endorsed by the Gandhi family, by Rahul Gandhi?
No candidate has been endorsed by the Gandhi family. They've taken a very, very constructive view that says that election is good for the party, that the more the party workers get a chance to express their views on this, the more the party will be strengthened, and that they themselves will stay neutral and above the fray. To my understanding, the Gandhi family says, no official candidate, we are not playing favorites, go out, good luck, we encourage you to contest. So at the same time, it's important to stress no one is running against anybody. This is not a question of a battle amongst rivals as we have between parties. It's a friendly contest amongst colleagues. We all share the same broad orientation. We are Congress people. We want the Congress ideology to prevail. We want Congress to win. And we want to stand up stoutly against the majoritarianism and the bigotry of the BJP. On all this, there is no disagreement. But we may have different views on how to do it. For example, I'm not somebody who's very entrenched in the way the organization has functioned so far. As you've rightly pointed out, I'm not seen as an organization man. Though I might say, I created, as the founder chairman, the All India Professionals Congress, which showed that there is a different way of running things within the Congress family, which can be made to work. And I have a very different structure, which might actually be something the parent party could also learn from. So there are things that we can do. There's a number of things the Congress used to do, we've ceased to do. One of them is we had very strong state leaders, remember in Nehruji's time. People like B.C. Roy or Atulya Ghosh in Bengal, of Govind Vallabh Pant in UP. These people gave the Congress a very strong base of strong state leaders on whom the Congress's top pyramid was built. Today, we've inverted the pyramid. All the power is on top, the state leaders don't matter. We need to change that. We need to create a situation, it seems to me, where the ordinary Karyakarta feels that he has access to whoever can take decisions that affect his daily life. And frankly, at the moment, many people feel they haven't got that opportunity, they're disempowered. So let's try and change all of this. This is not a criticism of what went before, because what went before worked for a while, and it has essentially ceased to work now. So let's try something different.
No, so what is the role of the Gandhi family? You know, that's the elephant in the room. The Bharat Jodo Yatra, which has just gone through your home state of Kerala, the focus entirely on Rahul Gandhi. All of you go to Sonia Gandhi's residence at 10 Janpad. Almost it seems to take approval from her before you file your nomination. So the sense is that this is a private limited company controlled by the Gandhis.
I'm just saying these ideas of dynasty work as long as they are of appeal to the voting public. If the Gandhis have had a great deal of authority in the Congress, it's because they win votes for the Congress. That people love them. And let's face it, even Rahul Gandhi, whom you're all busy criticizing, you should have seen the public adulation that met him at every step while he was walking in Bharat Jodo. We can't just completely close our eyes to this. There is a tremendous appeal still.
Sure.
Now, Rahul Gandhi's chosen not to translate that appeal into being president of the party. That's his privilege. But why would the party be foolish enough to say, we've got a proven vote winner amongst us who's got this great admiration? Why wouldn't we continue to welcome his involvement to the extent that he wishes to be involved?
No, so
the same with Sonia Gandhi, the same with Priyanka Gandhi.
No, so what is the relationship? A, they're not vote gatherers anymore. They were vote gatherers, the Gandhi family. You've lost 2 consecutive elections big time against the BJP, against a Modi-led juggernaut. My question again is this: relationship between Congress president and the Gandhi family?
I think it'll have to evolve in practice. They will have to choose their own role, how far they're going to be involved. The president, in turn, whoever the person is, will have to find creative ways of engaging them and using their undoubted charisma and appeal to the benefit of the Congress party and its message. We don't want a party in which all people are doing is writing one-line resolutions and authorizing the president to decide.
It's interesting you said that, because that's exactly what's happened in Rajasthan. The reason why Ashok Gehlot reportedly dropped out is because he refused to accept, or his MLAs refused to accept, the diktat of Delhi, of the high command culture of saying, pass a one-line resolution authorizing the Congress president, in this case Sonia Gandhi, to decide what happens in Rajasthan next. And that created the friction, which has meant that Mr. Gehlot, in a sense, has had to apologize to 10 Janpat and move on. My question is, Shashi Tharoor, you seem to be living in an illusory world. The reality is very different. You're creating an idealistic world of decentralized Congress, of Congress democratized. The reality is this is a party where all roads lead to 10 Janpat.
Perhaps that would change. That depends very much, of course, on what the voters decide in this election. But if we have a party that functions differently, that need not be the case. Look, most parliamentary systems around the world, MLAs or the equivalent thereof in other countries, elect their leader. There's nothing terribly unusual about that. It's one way of dealing with factionalism. Instead of having 2 different factions or 3 factions running to Delhi and you have to choose one of them, you simply have put it to the test of the MLAs voting in a secret ballot and seeing whom they want to lead.
So is that what you would have done in the case like Rajasthan? If the MLAs want a chief minister, let's be very clear.
It's not right
should
for
that
me
be
to,
the way? Should that be the way forward if you were Congress president?
It's not right for me to comment on something that's already happened that I was not part of, because that, frankly.
But in general, do you believe
there may have
MLAs
been
should
assurances made, there may have been assurances given, there may have been promises exchanged which were not violated. I don't know what expectations were in that particular instance. But in future, in theory, I think we would encourage a situation in which the party candidates are chosen more democratically, and the party, once they've elected their MLAs, will have the right for the MLAs to choose who should lead them. That is the way in which most parliamentary systems other than ours have functioned so far.
You know, there will be those listening to you who will say that is Shashi Tharoor wanting too much too soon? Because in Indian, are you being overly ambitious building up brand Tharoor?
Look,
Rajdeep, in a party like the Congress, where it's usually by the time you're 70, you're finally taken seriously to contest for a big poll, unless you're a Gandhi.
Just 1 month ago, would you have expected to find us sitting here talking about a free and fair Congress party election for the president of the party? Honest truth is no.
Is it free and fair? Is it free and fair? There are those questioning the way electoral rolls are in a way manipulated at times.
Look, you and I are both cricket fans. If you've agreed to play a game, you'll have to bat on the pitch that's available.
So is it free and fair?
So I'm going to bat on the pitch, which means the electoral college that has been constituted. There's no point now wasting time debating how it's been constituted. There have been certain processes that have taken place which may or may not be to everyone's satisfaction. But for me now to start worrying about that rather than how to influence the people who are going to cast a vote is pointless. From my point of view is I turn to the voters and say, look, you're all congressmen and women. You want to see the party thrive. Do you think that I can lead you in that direction, or do you think somebody else can? That's all the choice that's required. To my mind right now, if they had been put there because of their loyalty to X, Y or Z is absolutely irrelevant. They're there, they work for the Congress, they will get the leader they deserve.
You know, this is a party that has lost the Dalit vote. Earlier the belief is lost the Hindu vote. How does your writing fit in with your politics?
This lost the Hindu vote stuff, Rajdeep, is simply not accurate because you're talking about having lost to the BJP, which won 31 and then 37% in 2 successive elections. There are 80% Hindus in this country. So even if every single person who voted for the BJP was a Hindu, that's still not half the Hindu population. So let's not get carried away. We have not lost the Hindu vote.
Well, Dr. Tharoor, you've had a long karma from being in the United Nations to Thiruvananthapuram MP, to continually writing books, Sahitya Akademi Award winner among other things, to now trying to become the next Congress president. We wish you the best, as we wish all candidates who contest this post.
You sound like Sonia Gandhi. Thank you,
I sound like Sonia Gandhi. That'll go viral. Thank you very much, Dr. Tharoor, for joining me. Shashi Tharoor, who intends and is contesting for Congress president. And you can get that full interview on our YouTube site, much longer interview. But let's move on, because the questions that have been raised in this Tharoor versus Kharge conflict are simply this. Is the Congress looking at the future through a rear view mirror by looking at the past? Do the Gandhis still control the Congress? Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, senior Congress member now, senior lawyer of course, is joining me. Along with him, I spoke to him earlier, Tableen Singh is joining us, columnist who's written extensively on the nature of the Congress's darbar, as she calls it. Sanjay Jha, who I must introduce as a suspended Congress worker, still his heart is in the Congress. And Dr. Ajoy Kumar, spokesperson of the Congress, officially with the party. First, let's turn to Dr. Singhvi, because we'd spoken to him earlier. Dr. Singhvi, it appears the more things change, the more they remain the same in the Congress. You've chosen, it appears, the unofficial official candidate, an octogenarian, at a time when the Congress is talking about giving a facelift. How will Mr. Kharge give a facelift to your party?
Rajdeep, I would like to say with great respect, I have actually 3 takeaways, which I'll not say first, I'll answer your question first. Does that question not encapsulate an anti-democratic spirit? Can you and I decide that only people below a certain age or above a certain age can stand? I mean, this is the entire meaning of a democratic process. There was a very great likelihood of Mr. Gehlot standing, who was not that young. Mr. Tharoor is much younger. Mr. Digvijay Singh's name was in the hat. And finally, for a variety of reasons, Mr. Kharge is standing. Now, that is the way you take it as it comes. You don't predetermine and set rules. It would be undemocratic to say that you don't have a younger man. Actually, I would have liked younger people. There is complete openness for anyone to stand.
You're saying, no, 1 minute. You're saying there's complete openness, but the problem is that Mr. Kharge, as I said, seems to have been selected by the Congress High Command purely on the basis of his unflinching loyalty to the Gandhi family. The High Command tells us they're going to stay neutral, the Gandhis will not get involved, and yet at the last moment, Mr. Kharge is handpicked almost as a selected candidate.
That's the point. This is nothing but media speculation, earlier about Mr. Gehlot, now about Mr. Kharge. Let me just start by saying very briefly and quickly, the important takeaway which is being missed is there is actually admittedly, undeniably a free, fair, open, transparent election. 1, 2, no Gandhi is standing. No Gandhi has been in a government for 30 years, but no Gandhi is standing for the party elections, though there is overwhelming support and demand for it. And thirdly, somewhat unpleasant events which should have been avoidable in Rajasthan are behind us. Now, having said that, how does one answer the question that you will not be in government for 30 years, you are not now going to be in the party also, but you are always going to say that no, Gandhi is controlling? Well, you have to just wait and watch. When you are a president, how do you assume that it will go on endlessly? I have been saying on other channels that kuch to log kahenge, logon ka kaam hai kehna. If we are not here to answer critics who will never be satisfied, if the Gandhi stands, then the Gandhi stands. If the Gandhi doesn't stand, then he's controlling. I mean, can you have an answer to such situations?
No. Dr. Singhvi, the fact is all roads lead to 10 Janpath. Whether it was the Rajasthan crisis that eventually had to be resolved at Sonia Gandhi's house, or whether it appears to be the question of Congress presidentship, all roads lead to 10 Janpath, which is one of the reasons why so many people didn't even want to contest. Many people feel that even if they are offered the post, they will have to work completely with the Gandhis having all the power. And therefore, this is a party that is unable to break the status quo and reward merit of people who could have an independent identity.
Rajdeep, is there a fair question? How many parties in India have had an election like this? How many parties have broken from government office and now to party office, and you are saying not break with the status quo? I don't think you can name even one example in this country which has had this. And let me tell you, in a sense, Mr. Rahul Gandhi can be rightly accused of being anti-democratic also. Because he knows and you know and I know that today if he stood for elections, he would win overwhelmingly. So in that sense, he has negated the overwhelming demand of the Congress for him to stand. Is that not breaking?
Dr. Singhvi, the charge is Rahul Gandhi today wants power without responsibility, and whoever will be the Congress president will have all the accountability without power.
Do you think that is so easy to say? People ignore the real remote controls of Nagpur and elsewhere and talk about this. Do you think that a person who has refused steadfastly to stand and is today distancing himself, and in fact the other Gandhis are also distancing, this charge continuing? I mean, no answer to a charge. This is, there is a election. Nobody is saying and nobody can say that any process of this election is unfair or vitiated or compromised. So you are saying that no, despite a free and fair election, he will be having this and that. Well, I don't think that's a fair charge. Let every other party, let me tell you this, let every other party do this. Let the regional parties do this and say, look, we are not going, but I'm going to control from behind.
Dr. Singhvi, your party, let's be honest, without getting into whataboutery, I will ask you therefore one final question. Who's your pick, Shashi Tharoor or Mallikarjun Kharge?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's a secret vote. Secondly, I'm one of the 10 who has proposed Mr. Kharge. So I don't think I need to speak more about that on candid camera. But the point is, it's a free, fair, independent vote. It is volitional. It is my vote, and I wish anybody could have stood. There is no inhibition, no restriction, anyone.
Let me ask you, would you stand one day for the Congress president? Maybe you'll stand one day, Dr. Singhvi. Who knows?
With your good wishes, let us see.
With my good wishes. That was Dr. Singhvi. Let's go straight to Tableen Singh. Tableen Singh, you've heard Shashi Tharoor, you've heard Dr. Singhvi. What's your sense? Is this a fixed match where the Gandhis will decide the terms on which it is fought, or do you genuinely see this as winds of change?
You know the answer to that question. You don't even need to ask me it. But for the sake of television, I will answer it. And you know as well as I do that it's not about fixing the match or anything. It is about creating, smoke and mirrors and the impression of democracy within the party, which is why each and every person that you speak to now from the Congress party says, look, no other party does this. We're actually having an election, which is good. But you know, and I know, that the power is not, the power equations in the Congress party are not going to change. The person who controls the finances of the Congress party is not going to change. So it really is just a little bit of a distraction. And, I don't know whether it'll go anywhere.
No, so therefore, are you telling me that you see this entire exercise as purely a bit of a diversion, a distraction? You don't see it as a serious attempt at any level of the Congress trying to change? You believe this is a party stuck in the past?
I believe that it's a party that is stuck in confusion. I just heard on another show that, somebody who supported the Congress party saying that the core of the Congress party is the Gandhi family. Now, this party is 100 years old or more, and it stood for certain values. It stood for certain principles. It stood for an idea. And if it would go back to that, instead of wasting time deciding whether some 80-year-old Dalit leader should be the president or someone who speaks English and all that sort of business, instead of that, why are they not why are none of these Congress people talking about what it should stand for? What should be the questions being asked just now? The question should be asked, is Mr. Kharge more representative of those ideas, or is Shashi more representative?
But isn't the
I don't
truth,
know. And
but isn't the truth that the Congress's brand today is essentially the family? That all of this boils down to, at the end of the day, whether it's Mr. Kharge, whether it's Dr. Tharoor, the face will be Rahul Gandhi, and the Gandhis will take all the big decisions. Is that where you believe things have to change? Can that change? Can they really cut the umbilical cord?
No, they cannot now cut the umbilical cord because it's been strengthened over such a long period that to remove it now would be almost impossible. But what can happen is for the Congress party to rediscover what it stands for and to admit that it cannot continue if it allows the Gandhi family to remain the core of it. Because the Gandhi family, as you said, or somebody else did just now, it doesn't win elections anymore. As long as it could win elections, it's fine to then say, okay, well, that's the core, because even if I can't win in my own constituency, Sonia Gandhi can help me win. This is no longer true. It's been proven. Mm-hmm. So what are we talking about, And we don't want the Congress party. I don't want the Congress party to die. Because, we don't want a one-party India. And if the BJP wins a third term, that is what you've got. And that is elected autocracy, which we're already being accused of. So what we do need is for the Congress party to pull itself up and think of what it stands for. Get beyond all this.
Sanjay Jha, as someone who's been an insider, who's now an outsider, what does this mean? Mallikarjun Kharge, after all the talk of we'll have, someone who will represent a new Congress, whether it's a Shashi Tharoor or whether it's someone else who perhaps is from the Hindi heartland, what does the Congress do? Turn to an old family loyalist in his 80s to address the challenges of a new India. Are you disappointed or not? Be honest.
Well, Rajdeep, I don't want to mince words. I do believe that the Congress party has done a good thing by holding the elections after decades. So better late than never where that is concerned. But at the same time, the perception, and I think that's a very legitimate, shall we say, criticism that is coming from many quarters, that is the candidature of Mr. Kharge one that is already orchestrated for a potential win. And I think if that perception continues to basically haunt the Congress, then the entire process and procedure and all the optics will actually have boomeranged. Because the fact of the matter is that the Congress needs to change, Rajdeep. The Congress has to stop the BJP. It needs to be having a different energy. It needs electricity. It needs fire. It needs, all the passion of the workers. It needs to invigorate the public, engage with media, and go to town.
It needs surgery.
Is Mr. Kharge capable of it? I'm not so sure.
It needs surgery, not band-aid, Ajay Kumar. You're the official spokesperson on the program. Explain this to us. I mean, for days on end, there was Kaun Banega president. Now we've got, it appears, all the so-called Congress heavyweights lining behind Mr. Kharge. Is Mr. Kharge really the kind of person who can, as Sanjay Jha points out, really re-energize a party? You need someone with energy. JP Nadda, all said and done, has travelled to more than 150 Lok Sabha constituencies in 2 years. Can Mr. Kharge do that?
Look, the issue is, first of all, we have an electoral college and people are going to elect. But you have assumed, let's imagine your assumptions. The second question, Rajdeep, is, and I was listening to Tavleen ji and my friend Sanjay also. The fact is that you have Shashi on one side and you have Mr. Kharge. Who's going to win? Let the people, all who have been elected from the various blocks, because they are the people who will elect. Each delegate is going to elect. I've seen those delegates from whether it's my Lok Sabha constituency or in Tripura. They are people who are, you might think that, they're going to get influenced with whether with somebody nominating, somebody putting it. Nobody's telling me, or I'm not going and telling people that you
No,
must
no,
vote
no.
for
Why don't the Gandhis say, let's have a conscience vote? Why don't the Gandhis say, instead of sending this message out through sources that we are neutral, why don't they issue a statement? We have run this party for so many years. Sonia Gandhi has been the longest serving president. Why doesn't she put out a, please vote according to your conscience?
No, so it's a very strange, I'm listening to all these anchors. What are the kind of standards you're expecting to set on the Gandhis only, and you keep happening on Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi? Just a blunt question to you. Two people elected JP Nadda. Did you get Nadda on the show? Did you ask Mr. Amit Shah? The two people decided that he'll be the president of the so-called largest party. Is Rahul Kanwal tweeting? 80-year-old, 73-year-old prime minister? Look at the specious argument you guys do here. I'm a little offended by the simple fact.
This is not look, the BJP is a party of power. As Tavleen Singh said, when you are in power, you can get away. The BJP is in power, so no one raises this question. You're out of power. There's a difference between being out of power and in power.
So by the way, all these standards are fluid. We don't care what it means. If you're in power and you're winning, it doesn't matter if 2.5 people elect the president, and so be it. So then let's have the integrity. I take great umbrage on a couple of things. I heard Mr. Rahul Kanwal tweeting like crazy. What about 72-year-old Prime Minister? Yeah, we have no issues on 72-year-old Prime Minister. Vajpayee ji was 74. The question again is, this guy has won 9 elections. That is Kharge. Shashi is a brilliant candidate. And Mr. Kharge has earned his first 9 times MLA. One second, let me complete, sir. I'm the officials for 9 times MLA. The question is, you think that you need a president who is hands-on, who is going to meet all the leaders.
Yes, but is Kharge that hands-on choice? That
you're deciding. So Rajdeep Sardesai and Rahul Kanwal have the wisdom of the world to decide whether Kharge is the person. But they don't have the wisdom to say whether JP Nadda can become a president. Okay, two people deciding. No, I'm just asking a question. JP Nadda, 2 people.
Okay, let Tavleen Singh, let Tavleen Singh respond, since Tavleen also makes the same point. Here is Ajay Kumar blaming the media, saying you don't ask the questions of the BJP when JP Nadda is selected by 2.5 people. I'll include Mohan Bhagwat also. While we are running around saying, what are the Gandhis doing, handpicking Mr. Kharge, selecting him?
There is no history of democracy within the RSS. The most democratically elected leader has been Modi, because it was against the wishes of the top leadership that he won. Okay, but in the Congress party, there has been a history of democracy. We expect better from the Congress party because of that. We see the autocratic tendencies in the RSS and the BJP, and we're hoping that you guys will be reincarnated or rise like a phoenix from the ashes or whatever. And that is why we're saying all this. We actually want you to do better. Why is that so hard to understand?
At the moment, the Congress, just a minute, has a victim complex. Even Sanjay Jha wants to dive in. Go in, Sanjay Jha, what's the point you want to make quickly?
Yeah, Rajdeep, very quickly, I don't think Ajay is a very dear friend. I can tell you the Congress should stop benchmarking itself against the BJP. I completely agree with Tavleen. I mean, it is an authoritarian party externally and autocratic within. Everybody knows that.
But it's winning elections. 1 minute. Mr. Sanjay Jha, the BJP, authoritarian or not, is winning elections at the moment. They're a party that is dominating. The Congress is a party of opposition and shrinking. At a time like this, you need surgery rather than looking at what the patient in the other hospital is up to.
Absolutely. Rajdeep, I believe that when a party wants to reinvent itself, you can't do it in installments. It can't be incremental. The Congress has to be spectacular here. And this is a great platform to say, listen, can we actually work on a consensus on Dr. Shashi Tharoor at the moment? Or, create another model for governance?
Who says Shashi? No, 1 minute. Shashi Tharoor also may not be the right choice. Let's be honest. You may well need, just because you speak English well is not a qualification either. You need a hands-on organizational man. That's what the Congress needs, a woman who actually knows how a party is run.
Rajdeep, can I give you one suggestion that I've written about in great detail? I would love to know what is Ajay's view, Tavleen's view, and your view. The Congress should have a president, whoever it is, and be supported by a vice presidents for the north, east, south, and west, and the Northeast. You need to decentralize power. You can't have just one man running the show. It's a big country.
Okay.
India is no longer run the way it was being, 20 years ago. You got social media, you got door-to-door campaigning, you got to look at grassroots mobilization, you got to look at mainstream media. It's a complex job. I mean, look at any election in any part of the world. It's a real science.
Let Ajay Kumar quickly respond. I've got another guest also joining me soon. Go ahead, Ajay.
So, Rajdeep, a couple of things. One of the things is why I have a huge respect for Tavleen, and I read her, pretty regularly in the Indian Express. But the point is, you are not listening. We are not identifying the challenges we are facing. Fundamentally, we are having a sold-out media. Fundamentally, we have destruction of the institutions of democracy. So when you tell us to fight, and Sanjay keeps saying it, but the problem is this fight. Look at electoral bonds. 90% of the money of the electoral bonds are going from corporates to the Bharatiya Janata Party. So you are having a party, you're challenging Rahul Gandhi and saying, what has happened to Congress? Have you heard the anchors? Except there are few exceptions and decent people, very few endangered species. The media is bought to a large extent. The institutions are totally compromised, and the funding through an opaque process. So my question is, you are tied my feet, you have tied my hands, and then you send me else and say, listen, by the way, you're Muhammad Ali, but you fight with Mike Tyson with your hands tied to your back and your feet tied.
Okay, I'm neither Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson, but Tavleen Singh,
I'm saying we are Muhammad Ali with our shoes tied.
Okay,
and then Mike Tyson with.
Let me give Tavleen Singh a final word, and then I'll come to someone who's a close Rahul Gandhi loyalist. But go ahead, Tavleen Singh, a final word.
So the choice as identified now by Ajoy is to either lie down and die or just whine. Get up and fight. Those are the challenges you face.
We are fighting.
Fight or just, commit suicide, for goodness sake. Stop whining.
We are not whining at all, Tavleen, but we are telling, why aren't you guys right? Why aren't people speaking on these issues? Why is there anchor? Has that anchor of theirs, that 8 o'clock show guy, has he ever spoken? Has he ever said a word on Mr. Modi?
Look, I raise questions. I raise questions of all, including Mr. Modi, for which I at times suffer because I'm often called anti-national as a result. And I assure you, I will continue to raise them. I will raise questions of all.
Let me assure you this. But the kind of stuff which these guys peddling is shameful.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there because we can make this about Congress versus BJP. Our focus was on the Congress. Yes, there are questions that still need to be asked about the way the BJP functions. But today it was about the Congress because it's their leadership and their party which really faces a serious existential crisis. But I appreciate my guest joining us because I will now turn to someone who's been on the inside track with this, what's been happening. Praveen Chakravarti, Chairman Data Analytics, close to Rahul Gandhi, joins me. Praveen, is this really a free and fair election that you've been telling me whenever I converse with you on this? Or are we heading for an effective fixed match where the Gandhis today have broken with the neutrality? Effectively, the sense one gets is they are backing Mallikarjun Kharge.
Rajdeep, I think you can continue to raise questions as you should. And as we allow you to, at least as far as the Congress party is concerned. But, I want to point out something. Over the last 3 years, there have been 56 articles in leading newspapers, in national newspapers, that have said Rahul Gandhi is all set to become the next Congress president. 56 articles. That is wrong today. We all acknowledge that, number one. Number two, as we have gone through this process, I have seen so many questions being asked about, will there ever be an election? Will the Congress party ever come around to doing an election? Will truly somebody from the Gandhi family not be a contender? Will electoral rolls be made public or not? Will this be a sham of an election? Today we are here where we have three nominations that have been filed. The nominations were open to anybody that could have filed. And we do also have a statement on record from the chairman of the Central Election Authority that the Congress president does not endorse any particular candidate.
So what happened, if you are saying that, what changed overnight that suddenly Digvijay Singh ji drops out And suddenly in the morning, we have Congress working committee members who tell me they got calls from a senior Congress leader, come to the AICC office and endorse Mr. Kharge's candidature. Someone spoke to them, and the general belief among us in the media is the Congress High Command. The High Command wants to a total loyalist, and Kharge fitted that bill. Something changed overnight.
But Rajdeep, that's the reason I pointed out how most of you have been spectacularly wrong over the last 3 years on this issue is precisely for this. Because you have heard something, you've hung around in AICC, 24 Akbar Road, you've said something.
Praveen Chakravarti.
One second. Let me complete.
Look at the list of people who've nominated Mr. Kharge, who've come out.
Let me complete, Rajdeep.
Yes, please
Just
go
2 days ago, apparently it was a different candidate who was an anointed heir. It was all of you who said exactly the same thing. 2 days ago, it was somebody else. Today, you think it's somebody else. See, it is regardless of who is proposed what. The question is, did anybody stop anybody else from either filing a nomination or proposing? And honestly, by doing all of this, this is also injustice to the other candidate, at least the leading candidate, which is Dr. Shashi Tharoor. I am sure Dr. Tharoor is not, just in this for the heck of it. He is running a serious race. I noticed that he's put out some manifesto. So why would anybody do all of these things if they truly thought that this was all a completely fixed match? So I think at some point in time, all of you have to acknowledge that you did get this dead wrong.
No, I refuse to acknowledge that, because I even said last night in a tweet where I suggested there would be a twist and it would be a Dalit face, which turned out to be Mr. Kharge. But
you also said 3 days ago that there was somebody else was the anointed person, but that wasn't that wrong.
No, I think there is a section, I will concede Praveen Chakravarti, which has always believed that Rahul Gandhi in particular wants power without responsibility. That's a question that we keep asking. And since you know Rahul well, is Mr. Gandhi someone that whoever becomes the president now, whether it's Mr. Kharge or Shashi Tharoor, will they be empowered to organize the party? Will they be given the power to actually run the party?
See, Rajdeep, I certainly believe so, but I also acknowledge that at this, where we are today, it will be my word versus your word. And it's a futile discussion and a debate, because you will continue to question my response and I will continue to question your suspicion of this. I think what I can point to is the evidence. Like I said, in the last 3 years, I will tell you, I can count the number of articles and I can give you the count that said, no, he will not relinquish, he will do this, he'll become. He is doing a Padyatra somewhere down south in the country. And while we are all talking about nominations here, I also know this for a fact that when any candidate who has gone and spoken to him about filing a nomination, he has said, you're absolutely free to do so. You'd have no reason to come and speak to me about this.
Okay. I want to ask you in conclusion, who are you going to choose if you had a choice, Kharge or Tharoor? You have a pick?
I certainly have a vote, but I'm certainly not going to air that on national television.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. It is a secret ballot, and perhaps we'll see which way the wind blows in the Congress. Are these true winds of change, or is the Congress looking at the future through a rear view mirror? Praveen Chakravarti, thanks very much for speaking to us here tonight. Now, the interesting angle is all of us are talking about Kharge and Tharoor. Guess what? There is a third candidate. I spoke to him when I was at the AICC office while all the drama was going on. When we return, I'll tell you who that is. Listen in to candidate number 3 for Congress President. You're watching this special on the Congress Party.
Hey, I noticed something new. You've started using a new body lotion.
fun.
So sorry for the delay. I was on another call. It just kept going on.
No, Papa. You are in a steam bath.
Steam bath? At home?
Two steam bath he takes.
Go to your homework.
It's 7:20 already. The kickoff's in 5 minutes. Get all the boys. We have the entire place to ourselves, man. Not working?
Of course it is. But I don't want you guys to be using this bathroom. So use the other one.
It's 7:20 already. The kickoff's in 5 minutes. Get all the boys. We have the entire place to ourselves, man. Not working?
Of course it is. But I don't want you guys to be using this bathroom. So use the other one.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
Now, welcome back. In the Congress, there are all kinds of people. And one of those has become the third candidate in the Congress race. I was at the office of the Congress headquarters today when all the excitement was over Tharoor filing nomination, Kharge filing a nomination, but there was a third candidate, a former Jharkhand minister K.N. Tripathi, who suddenly appeared in front of me and said, "मैं भी candidate हूँ." Listen to him. मेरे साथ है contestant number 3, Krishnanand Tripathi has already filed his nomination. He's from Jharkhand. He's been a deputy leader there in the assembly, and he has also got his 10 delegates. तो कृष्णानंद त्रिपाठी जी, एक तरफ शशि थरूर, दूसरी तरफ मल्लिकार्जुन खड़गे, आपने भी अपना नॉमिनेशन भर दिया?
नॉमिनेशन भर दिया है, क्योंकि हम लोग तो चाहते थे कि हमारे नेता, जन नेता आदरणीय राहुल गांधी जी कांग्रेस का अध्यक्ष बने, लेकिन जब उनका निर्देश आ गया कि न वो खड़ा होंगे, न मैडम होंगी, न आदरणीय प्रियंका जी होंगी, तो उनका निर्देश आया कि पार्टी का हर कार्यकर्ता और हर नेता, तो भारतीय वायुसेना से लेकर डिप्टी लीडर से लेकर मंत्री तक कार्य करने का अनुभव था, तो मैंने सोचा कि मैं भी और
आपके मजदूर यूनियन में डेलीगेट्स हैं आपके पर्चे में. ओके, देयर यू हैव, दिस इज द कांग्रेस पार्टी. यू गॉट कृष्णानंद त्रिपाठी, उन्होंने अपने 10 नामों के जो 10 नाम चाहिए, यू नीड 10 पीपल टू नॉमिनेट यू. ही इज गॉट हिज 10 डेलीगेट्स. पर आपको चांस तो नहीं है. इतने बड़े नेता मल्लिकार्जुन खड़गे एक तरफ, शशि थरूर, आप कर क्या रहे हैं? ये केवल एक औपचारिकता है या वाकई आप फाइट करेंगे?
हम कोई औपचारिकता नहीं करते. आप मेरे राज्य में लोगों से आप पूछ लीजिए कि जिन मामलों पर मैं फर्म रहता हूँ, वैचारिक रूप से मैं कांग्रेसी हूँ, वैचारिक रूप से मैं गांधीवादी हूँ, वैचारिक रूप से मैं राहुल गांधी और सोनिया गांधी का समर्थक हूँ.
And that's the Congress party for you, the grand old party, probably a little bit more democratic, but also much more chaotic. And therefore, I leave you with the songs that capture in a way the mood of the candidates of the Congress. Kaun banega Congress ka president? The soap opera continues. What will be the final act? We'll see. Good night, goodbye, Shubhratri, Jai Hind, Namaskar.
कांग्रेस पार्टी के जो उसूल हैं, जो आइडियोलॉजी है, उस आइडियोलॉजी के साथ मैं बचपन से जुड़ा हूँ.
हमका ऐसा वैसा ना समझो, हम बड़े काम की चीज, ओ बाबू बड़े काम की चीज.
जब मैं 8th 9th में पढ़ता था, तब मैं पर्चे बांटता था, दीवारों पे लिखने की कोशिश करता था.
कौन बुरा है कौन भला है, अरे कौन बुरा है कौन भला है, हमका है तमीज, हमका ऐसा वैसा न समझो, हम बड़े काम की चीज, ओ बाबू बड़े काम की चीज.
was elected MLA 9 times. He was in the Lok Sabha once. He's been a terrific, twice I think. But anyway, he's been a terrific leader for many, many years. I think he's one of the great giants, the Bhishma Pitama of our party in some ways.
एक रोज हमारी भी दाल गलेगी, एक रोज हमारी भी दाल गलेगी, बैरी दुनिया जो देखेगी खूब जलेगी। हाँ हाँ भैया हमारा है MA BA पास, भला कब तक हम खाते रहेंगे ये घास, भला कब तक हम खाते रहेंगे।
I don't read the news. I read between the lines to tell you the true version of events, the true story of our times.
To document grief, the toughest assignment for any journalist to be.
From those who matter.
Women politicians going to stick up for each other.
Of those who should matter. I document the truth. I don't distort the truth. I don't glamorize the truth.